Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really focusing on a key challenge, finding fitness strategies that work, truly work, for women over 45. We want health, flexibility, maybe some weight loss, but crucially, without that constant joint pain.
Absolutely. It's this real tension, isn't it? You want those results,
Hmm.
but your body after 45, well, it has different needs.
Yeah.
And pushing too hard the old way often just leads to frustration or injury.
Yeah, getting sidelined.
Exactly. And our sources suggest the core idea isn't just finding a less intense substitute. It's about finding ways to eliminate that joint stress almost entirely. Because joint health, that seems to be the biggest thing holding people back long term.
Okay, let's dive into that, the limitations. Starting with the danger zone. What exercises should we really be cautious about after 45? The sources mention some physiological changes.
Right. Big ones. We're talking about bone density generally reducing and tissues losing some of their elasticity.
Yeah.
Harvard Health actually puts a number on it, saying these changes can bump up your fracture risk by something like 20 to 30% if you're doing high-impact stuff.
20 to 30%. Wow.
Yeah, the body just doesn't bounce back from stress in quite the same way.
Which means some exercises that maybe were fine in our 20s or 30s might need retiring?
I think that's a fair way to put it, definitely.
Yeah.
Those high-risk activities, they usually involve repetitive vertical load. Think high-intensity cardio, running, jumping. They're known culprits for making existing arthritis flare up.
Okay.
And heavy squats, surprisingly heavy loads there. Mayo Clinic research suggests they can load your knee and hip joints with like 4 to 6 times your actual body weight.
4 to 6 times. Ouch.
Exactly. And you see this frustration everywhere online, like on Reddit, there's that Our Fitness Over 40 group, and you often see posts like, "Help, I started running to lose weight, now my knees are just screaming."
Right. I've seen those. It's a common story.
It really is.
Yep.
So the lesson becomes pretty clear. Achieving that calorie burn needs to happen through, well, low-impact methods.
Which brings us neatly to the maybe counterintuitive solution the research points towards: chair workouts, seated exercises. Now, I imagine some listeners hearing chair workout and thinking, really? That sounds too easy. If HIIT burns loads of calories, how can sitting down and moving possibly make a real difference to metabolism?
It's a fair skepticism, totally.
Yeah.
But this is where that idea of longevity really beats short-term intensity. The fascinating thing about seated work is it takes the joint load right out of the equation. So you can strengthen muscles, you can improve balance, but without that wear and tear.
Okay, so it avoids the damage.
Precisely. And it's not just theory. The Arthritis Foundation did a study. Just 12 weeks of consistent chair exercises actually reduced knee pain by 25%.
25% reduction in pain. That's huge, even before you talk about weight.
It really is. And on top of that, these low-impact methods do support weight loss. People often lose 5, maybe 10 pounds steadily. Plus, research from the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity shows these kinds of chair aerobics can boost metabolism by about 15%.
15%. Okay.
Yeah, burning maybe 200 calories a session, which adds up. And critically, it also cuts the risk of falls, which is a major concern, by around 30%. It's about efficiency through preventing injury.
Makes sense. So for someone listening right now wanting to start today, what's the practical advice? The first steps and maybe the absolute don'ts.
Keep it simple and make it regular. Start small. Simple chair marches, maybe some controlled arm lifts while seated. Aim for just 10-15 minutes a day to begin with. Consistency is so much more important here than intensity.
Right.
And the big don't. The sources are quite clear. Definitely avoid moves that load the joints vertically. Things like jumping jacks, even modified ones. The risk just outweighs the small calorie burn you might get.
So the takeaway seems to be that getting real results, weight loss, flexibility, it's completely possible with these low-impact methods. It's about respecting your joints.
Yes, safety isn't a compromise here. It's actually the path to consistency and long-term fitness.
Because if it doesn't hurt, you're more likely to do it tomorrow.
Exactly that. Remove the pain. You remove the biggest barrier to just showing up.
Okay, a final thought then for you, the listener, to mull over. If something as simple as a chair can offer a genuinely challenging and beneficial workout, what other assumptions about needing high intensity might be holding you back from staying healthy and active for the long haul? Something to think about.